hypnotherapy doesn't deal with mental illness. I had done branding and, creating brands and everything.
From the UAE and India, who has turned her passion for exploration into a thriving career. Naufa, along with her husband, spends 9 months each year traveling the globe, sharing their adventures with over 900,000 followers across social media platforms.
I need more time. It's not worth it to spend that kind of energy and money to go there just for 4 days. Working a full-time job, you actually save up to travel, and it was just not making too much sense. Just understanding the people and just, learning more about something that interests me and intrigues me, that keeps me authentic.
You're also known as a very mysterious traveler, right?
Sometimes it's tough. For him to understand that every place in the world has something to offer, and that is only unique to that place. And he was like so shocked that nobody came to take his bags. He had to take it himself. Whatever may be your voice, follow it. Follow it to your authentic core, and you will definitely find your voice.
Welcome to Women of Wonder by Reema Mahajan, or Wow Women as we lovingly call it. Here we explore the stories of inspiring women who turn their dreams into reality. Today we are joined by Naufa Noori, a trailblazing travel content creator from the UAE and India who has turned her passion for exploration into a thriving career. Naufa, along with her husband Shah, spends 9 months each year traveling the globe, sharing their adventures with over 900,000 followers across social media platforms. Diving deeper into Naufa Noori's multifaceted life, we uncover another passion of hers, hypnotherapy. Naufa is not only a travel enthusiast, but also a skilled hypnotherapist working with clients globally. Let's start by exploring how this intriguing aspect of her life influences her journey and the lives of others. Welcome to the show, Naufa. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Everybody knows you as a travel content creator, right?
Yes.
That's the Naufa we know on social media. I actually want to start with hypnotherapy first. So
Sure.
tell me, how did you land into the world of hypnotherapy, and just how did you get started in this field?
So I feel for the longest time I was very interested and intrigued by self-development and neuroscience and how the mind works and things like that. So I used to read a lot of books. I have, seen a lot of skilled neuroscientists, and I used to listen to what they had to say, and that kind of piqued my interest in the subject of the mind, basically. And then I did have psychology in my school, but it was not something that I saw myself doing, like psychology or being a psychologist. But hypnotherapy really interested me because, hypnotherapy doesn't deal with mental illness. It deals with habits and how those can be reprogrammed and rewired in your mind. So that is how my interest started. And then I started looking up for it. And I found a really amazing course and certification that I could do as a beginning step. So that's how it all started about 3.5 years ago. And then ever since then, I have been, just trying to master and develop my skills even further. So that's what I do now.
So I want to take it practically, Naufa. I am usually a healthy eater, okay?
Right.
But I have immense sugar cravings, and that's something which a lot of us deal with.
Right.
How would you cure it through hypnotherapy? Where does hypnotherapy step in that journey of self-improvement, I would say?
Right. So hypnotherapy is basically understanding your patterns and understanding the reasons behind them, which you might not know in your conscious mind, in your conscious memory. You might not have that. But everything is stored in your subconscious memory all the way from when you were born, or even before that, actually. From the time you were conceived till all your life, it's all there in your subconscious mind. So through hypnotherapy, mainly we access the subconscious mind and try to understand the patterns that lead to certain behaviors.
Okay.
So what makes people crave for. We have a lot of clients and people who want to get rid of their smoking or drinking, and people who have sleep patterns that don't go with their lifestyle, and they struggle with sleep. So those are some of the common things. There's always a reason, like an underlying reason beneath these problems that people face.
Right.
So it's got a lot to do with understanding the person and their past, and then you put them during a hypnotherapy session, you put them into hypnosis.
Okay.
And that is where you ask them questions.
Okay.
And that session goes on for about 45 minutes. So
Right.
you ask them questions, you get their answers, and then you modify and keep on asking further questions. And after that, basically what happens is we create a 15 or 20 minute audio.
Okay.
So that audio will be given to you in case of sugar, and it'll have all positive suggestions for your mind.
Okay.
Starting with the first 5 minutes of the audio, actually going to be putting you into hypnosis. So every time you hear that audio that's recorded for you, you first go into hypnosis, which access your subconscious mind, which makes it easier for us to recommend positive suggestions to change your life. And then all the things, all your personal words, which we uncover in the hypnotherapy session,
Right.
are put in that audio. So your
Okay.
mind understands it, it's familiar with it. And then 21 days you have to hear that, followed by another session where we see your development.
Okay.
In most cases, for habits like eating or drinking, one session is enough actually.
Okay.
And very rarely do we do like 2 sessions. Only for habits which are like, much stronger or something that's been with you for really long, it takes maybe maximum of 3 sessions. And that's what makes hypnotherapy very different. Like, it's not like a life coaching or like a therapy which you go to constantly for
Again
months
and
and
again.
years. Yeah, hypnotherapy is very different like that. I think the maximum sessions I've had with a client is only 3 as well.
Okay, interesting. Now, hypnotherapy as a field has a lot of mysteries around it,
Yeah.
right? It still needs to be uncovered and understood. What is the biggest misconception you've heard about it?
I have faced this so much because when I tell somebody I'm a hypnotherapist, they go like, oh, so you'll also just come and put us into,
Yeah.
hypnosis and steal from us and you can make us do whatever you want. I say, it's not black magic,
Yes.
So hypnosis is actually very different. It actually puts you in a very relaxed state and you are actually more aware of yourself than you would be, consciously normally. So when we're asking you questions, you are actually answering it yourself from your thoughts and memories. So
Right.
it's got nothing to do with like, if I suggest something to you that, okay, pay me double for this session while you are in hypnosis, you're not going to do that. It's so that it doesn't work like that at all. It's
Okay.
really, it's a state of deep calm and
Right.
I would say more awareness. So it's not,
It's not black magic.
No, when they have like these stage hypnotists that they
Yes.
do in like awards and shows and functions, and they actually hypnotize people and tell them to
Yes.
do so. That's something completely different. It's not.
Okay.
It's not hypnotherapy.
You practice hypnotherapy, right? How has it helped you professionally, personally, in your own journey so far?
For me, like the biggest fascination has always been the mind. And when I speak to people and I hear, and then we have these documents and journals, and then when you connect, you really understand so much more about the mind. And just in general, seeing people get over their addictions or their habits, it creates such a positive impact on your life as well. Honestly, sometimes it can also be disturbing.
Yes.
It's very different from psychology. I think that would be something which probably I could never do because you have to deal with people and their addictions and their mental problems and stuff like that. It's not so much in hypnotherapy, but I had a person one time who had a very disturbed family dynamic and background. And that kind of stays with you also for some time. So then, it does make you stronger as a person as to how to deal with different challenges of life, different people that you meet with and things like that. So it does definitely make you stronger, more aware, more knowledgeable, and it's an ongoing practice. So
Brilliant. So we wish you the very best for your hypnotherapy career. Let me go back to travel content and content creation. I hear you were a brand consultant before that.
yes.
For how long? What were you doing then?
For 6 years, actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
for a long time, yeah.
Yes.
But I was also traveling that time. I used to make the most of the public holidays.
The week-long holidays.
breaks, and then I used to split my annual leave
Yes.
into many small leaves. Now that
Yes.
had a lot of drawbacks,
Okay.
because like for example, I went to Turkey for 4 days and I could only do Istanbul because I went during the Eid break, and after that I was like, Turkey is so beautiful, it's so big, I need more
Yes.
time, it's not worth it to spend that kind of energy and money to go there just for 4 days, because working a full-time job, you actually save up to travel and then you spend it during these 4 days, and it was just not making too much sense back then. But I love my job. So I had done branding and, creating brands and everything, like the brand identities of various brands from real estate, to fashion and other brands as well. So it was really amazing. It helped me learn a lot.
Okay.
I have so much knowledge in the branding and marketing side because of that. I was working at this company who used to create brands and who used to also do rebranding. So we did
Right.
rebranding for some of the biggest, malls in Dubai, created their brand identity. So it was really amazing. The experience was very good. And I would say it helped me a lot with my, career as well now that I'm doing.
How did you jump from brand consulting to full-time travel content?
I just had to because of my leave days and all. It was not going along, and I realized that travel is my true passion. Really, when I meet people from across the globe and I learn their stories and I see different cultures, I feel like I'm another person. It just opens my mind so much more, and it's something that I want to do. Obviously, when I started it off, I didn't know how it's going to be, if I'm going to be able to make a full-fledged income out of this, if it's going to be something that I can sustain. So I took I gave myself time. I said I'm going to do this for say a year and see how it goes. And once I started that, the fulfillment that it brought me, there was no going back.
And you just finished 30 under 30.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
And I
much.
hear you went to 11 countries in 6 months.
Yes, so I think that was our biggest goal for me and my husband. So I had made a list of a few of my goals before I turned 30. And out of 10, I think I achieved 9 of them.
Okay.
So it was really amazing. And the biggest was this 30, before 30, because it's really not easy, especially because I made the list only say last year. And I'm like, okay,
Make
I have
the
1
list,
year.
make it almost.
So I was like, okay, no, but I really wanna do it.
Okay.
So then we started seeing what could be our options, where all we could go. But on the other hand, we're not travelers who just travel. We went somewhere for 2 days and we leave, just tick off the country. I know
Yeah.
people who do that also. But we really like to travel in depth. I went to Thailand for 40 days last year.
Right.
Because I wanted to go to multiple cities and really enjoy the culture and everything in Thailand. So we like to do in-depth travel, slow travel, so to say. So we're like, okay, how are we going to mix slow travel with our, goal? And that's what we tried to do. So that's why we were out for from August to February. I think maybe we must have spent all in all 25 days in
Wow.
Dubai in between. We used to just be 3-4 days, wash our clothes, do our laundry,
Yes.
and we're out again.
Wow.
So my brother made a joke out of it. He said, whenever you come, you just watch one movie, eat one dinner with us, and then that's it, you're gone.
Great. And how do you choose your next destination?
So initially, we used to choose our next destination based on requirements in terms of visa, in terms of flight costs and stuff like that when we started it initially. But later what we do now is it depends more so on the brand partnerships that we have. So because obviously travel is expensive,
Yes.
So a lot of our destinations are invitations that we have, or people who have called us to the places, or airlines or hotels and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of planning now is 2 ways,
Yeah.
something that we want to do and something what we get invited for. It wasn't initially like that, but now I think more focus is on that.
Okay, and given you travel all across the globe, right? And you visit different cultures, different traditions, different countries. How do you make sure that the travel blog is still very authentic and doesn't
Yeah.
look like a promotion?
Definitely. So I think staying in Dubai itself, we have seen so much diversity and things like that. And I'm from India. Again, in India, there's so much cultural diversity, and I have explored different parts of India as well. And I feel like because, a mix of my hypnotherapy and what I stand for as a traveler, there's a lot of respecting values and cultures and differences that each person carries, because all of
Right.
us are so different in so many different ways. So I always strive for bringing the authentic travel stories no matter where I go. So I have been to so many Buddhist countries. I've been to so many countries that are dominated by Christians. India, I've been to so many beautiful, amazing holy and religious sites in India. And I've traveled a lot. In fact, I just did the entire GCC this year,
Right.
all the 6 countries.
Yes.
So I've traveled wide and far when it comes to different religious and cultural backgrounds. And I think just understanding the people and just, learning more about something that interests me and intrigues me, that keeps me authentic and going to share real travel stories.
There's something which we've been hearing is about faking travel experiences.
That's a very controversial topic.
Could you share any instances?
There are pages on Instagram which say, without showing your face, why don't you create a page which will make you money and stuff like that. So that is the basis of those pages. So they take content from other people, either they repost it or they
Yeah.
take the permissions and stuff like that, and they grow their page.
Yeah.
That's what their page stands for. But now what's happened is people who barely travel or who don't travel at all, they can and they do get footages from other people. In Instagram now, you can download other people's content directly from the platform. So
Right.
you can download it, you can make a version of your own. So it's not difficult For example, today, if I want to make a video about Dubai, so if I put the hashtag Dubai, whatever, I can find all the videos, I can download the best videos I like, and I can create a video saying 10 things you should do in Dubai. But none of that content is mine. The research is mine. I've downloaded it.
Yes.
But that doesn't make me a travel influencer.
Right.
You're giving information, and a lot of people do that.
Right.
A lot of people do. They've never been to some place, and then they talk about the place, and then they talk about the weather in that place and things like that. So I just feel like that's not authentic, and that in a way is cheating the audience as well.
You're also known as a very mysterious traveler, right? So nobody in town, especially your friends and family, kind of don't know where you're heading next. Why does that
that's
happen?
true. My family, like, you know, they kind of know in the beginning that when I tell them that I want to travel somewhere, they don't even ask me anymore because they know that, you know, she's not going to say and stuff. And actually, I feel like over the years, they've seen me as a responsible traveler. So, alhamdulillah, we've had great travel experiences so far. I don't want to jinx it. So they have that trust, you know. So that's fine. But with our friends, we just like to keep it mysterious and we like to keep it fun and funny. So we don't tell people. And now everybody's kind of understood that. So they're okay with it. They if we tell them that we're traveling, they're like, okay, we'll wait for your stories to see where you go.
So the first time everybody gets to know where you are is through your
It's
stories.
through our stories, yeah.
Oh, right.
Everyone.
But and your husband also travels with you, right?
Yes.
So has it always been the case forever, or did the journey start together, or was it you alone and then he joined in?
No. So all the 30 countries, we've traveled to each of them together.
Okay.
Yeah, so
brilliant.
we were together since 2016. We have been together, and 2016 was the first year we started traveling.
Right.
And we traveled to all the countries. He creates all of my content, actually, most of it. Yeah, so he loves content creation as well. I think that is one of his core passions. So he loves to travel, he loves content creation, and I think it's more than anything, it's both of us learning and, you know, being on this journey together, like exploring the world, meeting people and stuff together. So that's what I think, that's the deepest bond we share as well over travel, and that's what keeps us close, you know.
Yeah.
So it's something that we both love to do.
And what is it like working with your spouse? Because it is also work for
Sometimes
you.
it's
Isn't
tough. I'm not going to say no.
Who takes the executive call when it's tough?
I think it's both of us. On content, he does sometimes, but the business side of it, mostly I manage.
Right.
For the work. But, you know, every time I feel, and I speak to him and I speak to, you know, other couples, other friends and stuff, and I feel like it's important that both people have their own space as well. You know, you cannot spend all your time with one person, which I would say is a very important marriage advice. You know, how much ever you love each other, you need time for yourself, either your personal time or time with your friends and things like that. But when you work together on a job like this, where you're traveling and you're together the whole time and things like that, it's different. It's different. You have to kind of just get into each other's vibe. I don't know. And because he is different in traveling sometimes, you know, and initially I really struggled with him because he would be like, why would I want to go to a third world country as per him? Some countries he does not want to go to. And then I had to explain to him, and we had to visit different places for him to understand that every place in the world has something to offer, and that is only unique to that place.
Right.
And now he appreciates that. So it takes time, you know, to find your rhythm together.
Yeah, but I think you've mastered it over the years
Over the
now.
years,
Okay, beautiful. Let's move on to the rapid fire round. We have a brilliant, beautiful hamper for you here today.
Thank you.
This one is going to be quick, basically.
Okay.
Direct Dil Se, as I call it, or the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Let us know what comes to your mind the first thing when you hear the statement.
Done.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, the favorite country in the world that you visited so far, and why?
I loved Montenegro. I think it just has such a beautiful vibe because it's like all around the coast, and I love water. So I would say Montenegro. Because of that, the people are really nice. It's not an overly populated country, and I feel like it's still very undiscovered in terms of tourism. People do go there.
Yes.
But you know, Montenegro is a country which is 6 months, it's in hibernation. They close down completely, from hotels to restaurants to everything.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you have just 6 months to explore if you really want to.
6 months of the year you can't visit Montenegro.
Yeah, like at least 5 months. They start from October up to their entire winter season. They're completely closed down. There are no flights. There are no direct flights also from Dubai. So Dubai operates direct flights for 6 months, and then they don't.
The most underrated travel destination in your opinion?
Tunisia. I think Tunisia is really beautiful, and because it comes in the North African region, people a lot of times prefer to go to Morocco or Egypt, and Tunisia gets overlooked quite a bit compared to these two destinations, but it is so beautiful and the people are so nice.
Solo travel or group travel? I think I know the answer there.
I have never solo traveled. I don't know why.
Would you ever do solo travel?
Sometimes I think about it, but maybe no. I don't know. I'm not scared of the places and the people and stuff, but I get really scared to sleep alone. So I don't know.
So solo travel is not happening. Shaz, we need you. Your go-to app for trip planning.
So I don't think actually I use an app.
How do you plan
particularly.
a trip?
When I have decided a country, I start with the itinerary first. So I start with all the places that I want to visit, and I create every itinerary I create of my own. Like, I don't use any other itinerary because I really do a very in-depth research about places, how the weather's going to be, what I should carry to wear, what I should wear in each of the sites, how should it be, and things like that. So I think from there on, then I take it forward as to if I'm visiting here, where should I stay? How should I get there? So it's a backward process.
And are you a very detailed Excel kind of a person? Or
Very
is it
detailed. I have pages and pages of documents.
Pages and pages of documents of where you're going. Brilliant. The best cuisine you've discovered on your travels?
I would say I love Thai cuisine, and I spend a lot of time in Thailand. I've been to Thailand 3 times, and this year I'll hopefully go 4th time.
Wow.
It's the only country I've been to so many times.
Wow, I didn't know there was so much of Thailand to see.
There is so much. Like I told you in the beginning that I spent 40 days there, but I still visited 7 cities, and I have so much more. And I would love to go back to these cities as well.
I just went to
love
Thailand last week. That's what
Oh,
I'm
really?
saying. But I was just in one city
Where
and
did you
on the
go?
beach. We went to Phuket.
Okay.
And we came back from
Okay.
Phuket. So it's pretty much the beach.
No,
we
next
did.
time I have some
Yeah.
recommendations.
One city you could visit every year and never get bored.
It would be somewhere in Thailand.
Thailand is winning it.
Because I think there's so much there. The food is good,
Yes.
and Thai hospitality is good, and they have some of the most beautiful hotels. And hotels are something that I really love.
Yes.
So after travel, my next passion would be hospitality and hotels and where I'm staying. So I think it mixes it perfect.
Yeah,
That's
and I
why.
think Southeast Asia in general is really good for hospitality,
that's
right?
true.
And we've traveled, so I can see the difference between Europe
Yeah.
versus. I think you'll get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Versus going to Southeast Asia, you're spending almost similar amount of money or even more in
Exactly.
Europe. But I think the service, the gratitude, the feeling with which they greet you, you feel welcome.
That's so true. Me and my friends, we went to Serbia about 2 years ago, and it was my friend's first trip to Europe. And he
Right.
was like so shocked that nobody came to take his bags and he had to take it himself.
You have to
And he's
carry
like,
your own
"Well."
suitcases. What is the one language you wish you were fluent in?
Arabic.
Because you traveled with GCC.
I grew up here, so I've been here.
You're a Dubai kid.
Exactly, I'm a Dubai kid, and I don't know how to speak Arabic, and none of my friends know how to speak Arabic. We know how to read and write because that's what they teach you in the school, at least
Yes.
before.
Yes.
So, and when I went to GCs as well, whenever I hear people speak in Arabic, I find it like such a
Yeah.
beautiful language. So I really wish to speak.
The most memorable person you've met on your travels?
There are so many. Like I think, one person to come to my mind is quite difficult. But I met this one guy in Bahrain. He was about 80 years old, and he was talking to us about his journey. He was from Saudi, and then he moved to Bahrain, and he was talking to us about his journey of how things are in the Middle East and how the different cultures here are, and how Bahrain, being such a small place, has so much diversity and things like that. And he started telling us some of his life stories and experiences. So that was something that we will remember. And also, it was very recent. So that was like last month.
course,
So
of
maybe that's
course.
on top of my mind.
What is your number one tip to all aspiring travel content creators? Like, how do you take the perfect pictures and videos and reels?
I think the number one tip would be authentic. So
Yes.
be authentic to who you are. There are many different travel content creators. People who
Yes.
do aesthetic content, cinematic content. There are people who do informational content, funny content. So whatever may be your voice, follow it.
Yes.
Don't get pressurized or want to be like somebody else or something like that. Follow it to your authentic core, and you will definitely find your voice eventually. And the best tip for good pictures and videos: get up early. Get up early and
All right.
go to the place that is the best place out of your itinerary on that day.
Yes.
Go to that place first and go in the morning.
In the morning.
That's the only way.
Because you're fresher or because the light is
No,
better?
because there's nobody there.
So there's
you
no
can
crowds.
get your you can get your perfect
pictures, your solo pictures. What
Light is good.
Yes.
Crowd is not there. And
Yes.
I think it's a beautiful time to go to a very, like we went to Taj Mahal at sunrise.
Okay.
And to see that place at 6 a.m. versus seeing that place at 10 a.m. are two different experiences. At 10 a.m. it doesn't even look that beautiful, though
Yeah.
it's the same structure
Direct
because it's
sunlight.
so crowded. And if you go at 6 a.m., the sunlight hits, you can see like rays of the sun and there's nobody there, and you can just appreciate and admire the place so much more. So we saw both sides of it, and I would say wake up early.
Brilliant. Well, that brings us to the end of our rapid fire round, and you've truly and heartily won this hamper. Now, this
you so
hamper
much.
is special because it comes from women from the community. So, everything in this hamper, the vouchers, the IWD souvenir, everything comes from a women entrepreneur who's trying to start a new career.
That's
so, there
so
we
sweet.
go.
Thank you so much.
We'll let you take home, but I want to move on to the final section of the show, which is what's your advice for anybody who's looking to start travel content now, other than being authentic,
I think many a times people push it. I'm not saying obviously everybody's means are different, how they can start it, but in whatever sense you can, just begin. Begin with your city, begin with cities around you, and move on from there. But just truly follow your passion, and that will definitely take you somewhere. I really want to talk about this one account. It's called Kashmir Through My Lens.
Okay.
So he stays in Kashmir, and he makes such beautiful content of the city that he stays in, Kashmir itself. And today, he's so well recognized, and he's doing so good. His videos are so good. So my point is that it doesn't matter where you are, start there and just do your best.
Where you are, start now, just do your best, is the message from our Women of Wonder today. If you've liked this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share our channel with your friends. And we'll be back with another Women of Wonder very, very soon.